Welcome to Candidates Comment, a public service presentation of CTN. All candidates running for City Council of Ann Arbor were invited to come to CTN to share their platforms and ideas. Candidates who participate will be shown in alphabetical order.
My name is Ann Bannister, and I'm running for Ward 1 City Council. I grew up in Ann Arbor and graduated from Ann Arbor Public Schools and University of Michigan. My career has been in personal finance. I'm a certified financial planner and a personal finance educator. I've lived in Ward 1 for 27 years. My background in local politics has been as Yusuf Rabi's treasurer when he ran for county commissioner, and Peggy Rabi, his mom, is now my campaign chair. I was treasurer and co-chair of the Ann Arbor Democratic Party. Running for city council was not on my radar until 2 months ago when people asked me to run over concerns about council's vote to sell our public library lot to Chicago developers who plan to build a 17-story building and have 50-year leases on a majority of the underground parking spaces. I would not have supported this project because I believe council must listen to the voices of so many residents and local businesses who have actively opposed this project. I support responsible development. I'd like to be a positive turning point on city council where we think long-term and visualize a future for our city and our children where we continue to embrace change but not rush to approve buildings that are not harmonious and balanced with the character of our neighborhoods. We need to recognize that new development puts pressure and increased cost on our basic services and infrastructure, from parking to traffic congestion and gridlock to strain on our already neglected roads, sewers, and stormwater systems. Affordability is another goal of the city, yet by fueling luxury developments and proceeding with gentrification, we force many of our long-standing families and their children to move away. Public safety is also a top priority. We could improve street lighting and enhance pedestrian and bicycle safety. We need crosswalks to be more consistently marked, especially near schools, and more police officers for targeted traffic enforcement. Transparency is another priority. Residents should have full and easy access to information about city business. The public has a right to know what the city is negotiating on our behalf. City Council must also work to protect our environment. Our greatest threat is the Gelman dioxin plume, and I would like to work to clean up this threat before it reaches our river and drinking water. The deer population is also a threat to our environment. We need to continue our deer management program because it's the environmentally responsible thing to do. In closing, please talk with your neighbors about the election and cast your vote on August 8th. Please allow me, Ann Bannister, to be your champion for transparency and Ann Arbor community values.
Hello, I'm Jason Frenzel, and I represent the First Ward on Ann Arbor City Council. Because of my proven track record of leadership and my grasp of issues facing our city, I was selected to fill the seat that was vacated by longtime council member Sabra Briere. Ann Arbor is a fabulous city with amazing successes that we should all celebrate. We have a vibrant and exciting downtown, hundreds of parks with thousands of acres for our residents to explore and play in. We have no shortage of cultural activities, including Top of the Park and the Ann Arbor Art Fairs, at venues such as the Arc and the Michigan Theater. With all of the amazing things that Ann Arbor is, we also know that our town is not perfect. There are a multitude of issues that we must improve upon. My first priority is Ann Arbor's efforts on climate change, be it renewable energy, clean air and water, or the health of our children's future. This is where my passions lie. My family and peers love that I'm a tree hugger, but really, I help others become tree huggers. For 10 years, I worked at the city's natural area preservation, where I am proud to have initiated the Adopt a Park program, which allows residents to improve their parks. This program also saves the city thousands of person-hours every year. I am now at the Huron River Watershed Council, where we protect the mighty Huron, our drinking water source, and a favorite location for boating and fishing. I'm also exceptionally concerned about pedestrian and bicycle safety. Ann Arbor's popularity means more of everything: walkers, bikers, skateboarders, and traffic. With increasing people using our roads and sidewalks, we are experiencing inevitable conflicts. We must do a better job at protecting our residents through a multitude of measures such as enforcement, crosswalk improvements, and street lighting. Another price of our success is our dramatic rise in housing demand, which is in turn fostering income inequality and gentrification. As a community, we must not accept these trends and need to take steps to mitigate them. I am proud to say that I have demonstrated leadership on these issues, having brought forward and supported multiple resolutions and initiatives which support our residents, no matter their age, income, identity, or background. I have worked for years to make sure our city government is transparent and easy to traverse. Personally, I am readily available to you via my cell phone, email, and social media. I publish a newsletter prior to city council meetings and hold weekly office hours. I ask for your vote on August 8th in the Democratic primary so we may continue this important work for our community. You can contact me through my website at a2jasonfrenzel.com. Thank you.
I'm Zach Ackerman, Democratic representative for the 3rd Ward on Ann Arbor City Council. I grew up right here in Ann Arbor, and in the 3rd Ward specifically, attending Burns Park, Tappan, Pioneer, and the University of Michigan. 2 years ago, I asked for your vote based on a simple premise. The conversations and decisions being made in those next 2 years would affect the direction of our community for the next 20 or more. This year, I'm running for re-election. Then and now, I believe that we need to invest in our infrastructure and basic services. We need to invest in building an affordable housing market. And we need to invest in a progressive action on the environment, transit, and a vibrant downtown. I can say that many of the decisions we've made will better Ann Arbor for the next 20 years. We introduced a new roads plan that will reduce the number of potholes without sacrificing the long-term care of our 300 miles of roadway. Now, we need to keep making our streets safer for pedestrians and cyclists. We unrolled a new urban forestry plan that will bring 1,000 new street trees to neighborhoods across Ann Arbor each year, while fully funding their pruning and care. Now, we need to continue to invest in our outdated stormwater infrastructure systems to keep homes safe in a changing climate. We have nearly rehabbed every unit in our public housing system, ensuring that our most vulnerable neighbors can live safely. Now, we need to build new workforce housing, housing for teachers, bus drivers, retirees, and young professionals. I'm proud of our successes, but I also highlight the reasons that make me say, as a community, we still have more to do. And as your representative, I still have more to do. And because these goals need all of us, I'm still committed to an approach to leadership that will always seek your guidance. And because I want to serve you, I'm still committed to making City Hall more accessible, more understandable, and more helpful to you, the resident. So please, take a look around my website, ackermanforcouncil.com. And don't forget to vote Tuesday, August 8th, or by absentee ballot between now and then. I look forward to doing everything I can to earn your support. See you back on the campaign trail.
Hi, I am Stephen Councilman, and I am a Democratic candidate seeking election to represent the residents of Ward 3 on Ann Arbor City Council. I'm asking for you to vote Councilman for Council this August 8th in the Democratic primary election. I'm asking for your vote as I believe that with my education, my governmental experience, and my passion and commitment for my hometown of Ann Arbor, that I offer a perspective and ability for effective representation and advocacy on behalf of all Ward 3 residents at City Council deliberations. I believe democracy requires competition to keep our elected officials honest, open, and transparent. Having previously served 4 terms for 8 years on City Council, I am proud of the honesty, integrity, transparency, and fiduciary responsibility I brought to our city government. And if elected, I will continue to focus on the public health, safety, and welfare of our community. It was a recent decision of mine to seek elected office again. After talking with downtown business owners, neighbors, and supporters, it became increasingly clear that our city government is going in the wrong direction. Too many important issues are not being adequately discussed at council meetings, and far too often our elected representatives are dismissive of any alternative views and compromises. Their secretiveness and lack of transparency is especially troubling. Also troubling is the contempt of City Council towards downtown business interests who are concerned with the loss of their economic viability due to the City Council approved sale of hundreds of public parking spaces to a private for-profit developer for a 17-story building on the library lot. We need a city council that supports our existing downtown business interests, not one that sells off our federally subsidized public parking spaces to out-of-town developers. In addition, the poor leadership of the City Council to adequately maintain our recycling program, as illustrated by the closure of the city's material recovery facility, and the subsequent tripling in recycling program costs from expensive hauling contracts to ship our unprocessed recyclables out of state is disappointing. As a former driver for Recycle Ann Arbor, I will do all I can to restore our recycling program to the operational and financial efficiency it once had. But it was the vote by City Council against releasing the communications between the city and the Federal Railroad Administration regarding the effort to plan for a new train station that was really upsetting to me. A vote that clearly was against the democratic ideals of open and transparent government. For what can possibly be so secretive about a proposed train station location that would lead City Council to vote against the most fundamental value of our community, open and transparent government? Please visit my website at councilmanforcouncil.com for more information on my candidacy. Again, I am Stephen Councilman, a Democratic candidate for Ann Arbor City Council, Ward 3, and I am asking for your vote this August 8th to elect Councilman for Council. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jamie Mogera, and I'm running for Ann Arbor City Council in the August 8th Democratic primary. I wanted to take a moment to introduce myself to you and tell you a little bit about the campaign. I've been privileged to call this great community my home for 27 years. I'm a graduate of the University of Michigan, and I've worked for the university for 13 years as a system administrator. I've taught computer programming at Eastern Michigan University and worked for Washtenaw Community College, where I helped them start their internet radio station. You can listen to me on the airwaves each week as host of the science and technology show Interactive Technologies on WCBN 88.3 FM. I'm a member of the Ecology Center and of the Sierra Club. In the 1990s, I worked for Greenpeace in the Ann Arbor office under Mary Beth Doyle. Currently, I am the Vice President of the Board of Directors of the People's Food Co-op and on the Executive Board of the Ann Arbor Democrats. In both organizations, I've worked to improve their responsiveness, their efficiency, and their transparency. I'm running for City Council because I'd like to bring my organizational and critical thinking skills forward to make sure that we can enjoy all that Ann Arbor has to offer in the years to come. In those organizations, I've highlighted my ability to collect feedback from across the spectrum and to create a plan that respects and listens to that feedback. When I've moved from plan to action, I've always done so with an ethic of transparency and a focus on efficiency. Some of the things that I'd like to see addressed include exceptional city services, trash pickup, recycling, snow plowing. I'd always like to address things such as the affordability of housing, something that affects everything from young families to our senior citizens. I'd like to make sure that we have well-maintained and safe streets and sidewalks. I'd like to address clean air and clean water, in particular, the dioxane plume. I'd like to improve the communication that we have between City Hall and residents, making sure that residents know when and where they can get information about what the city is doing, provide feedback, and get a response from the city in a timely fashion. Lastly, I'd like to make sure that Ann Arbor continues to be a welcoming and inclusive community. Your opportunity to vote is a fundamental aspect of our democracy. That fundamental aspect affects not just our daily lives, but the lives of future generations. I'm asking for your vote to make sure that we can address the long-term issues that we're facing. I'm asking because we have many issues ahead. None of them have easy fixes. And I'd like to bring more ideas and more options to the table to address those now and into the future. You can contact me via email or via phone. You can find out more on my website. Again, please vote Jamie Mogera for City Council on August 8th. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jack Eaton, and I represent the 4th Ward on Ann Arbor City Council. This year, I'm running for re-election. When I first ran for City Council, I promised to focus on improving our basic services and maintaining our essential infrastructure. I promised to represent the common sense point of view of Ward 4 residents. I've kept those promises. With regard to basic services, I supported additional funding for police and fire staffing. I supported restoring bulk leaf pickup. I supported expanding our food composting program. I voted to continue our deer management program. On essential infrastructure, I supported development of a road maintenance and repair plan. I advocated for improved stormwater management. I also sponsored an ordinance that would limit development in floodways. I've demonstrated responsible budget priorities. I voted against spending $4 million to reskin City Hall. I supported additional funding for safety services. I supported increased funding for streetlights and crosswalk improvements. In my 2 terms, I also championed transparency, accountability, responsiveness, and community values. In pursuit of improved transparency, I sponsored a resolution asking the city administrator to revise our FOIA policy. I also sponsored a resolution to disclose information about a proposed train station that city staff had withheld from the public. Regarding accountability, I served on the council's rules committee and assisted in the drafting of ethics rules for council members. For the first time, council has guidelines regarding conflict of interest and accepting gifts. I believe the council should be responsive. I have worked closely with neighborhoods on concerns they've brought to me. I also sponsored a resolution to place the issue of the sale of the library lot on the ballot when petitions to do that fell short of the required signatures due to technicalities. I worked to demonstrate our community values. For example, I helped draft and co-sponsored an ordinance prohibiting city employees from collecting immigrant status information. I have a positive vision for our town's future that includes protecting what's good and unique about our community. We must promote restoration over demolition. We should value financial responsibility over indebtedness. We must work to protect our environment. I have always emphasized common sense priorities. The city can provide excellent services and maintain our infrastructure without raising taxes. Please help me continue my work on City Council by casting your vote for me on August 8th. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is David Silkworth. I'm running the August 8th Democratic primary for the Ann Arbor Ward 5 City Council seat. I'm a progressive Democrat, and I'm running because we need better representation from our City Council in Ward 5. My opponent consistently votes in favor of large developers and against families and neighborhoods. Last August, my opponent voted against giving residents an opportunity to vote on how the library lot would be developed. In a vibrant democracy like ours, when thousands of people signed a petition demanding to be allowed to vote on an issue, I think that City Council should listen. Voters should have been allowed to cast their ballots to decide that issue. Earlier this year, my opponent voted to approve the sale of the development rights for our library lot to the Chicago developer Core Spaces. As currently planned, this sale will be a bad deal for both voters and taxpayers alike. One reason that it's a bad deal is because it contains an unfunded liability where taxpayers will have to pay to replace the $18 million of public parking spaces that will be removed from our already overburdened public parking system. Our city government is not returning in services and basic infrastructure what taxpayers are being charged in taxes because we're continually having to pay for boondoggles like this one. I will make providing valuable services and basic infrastructure a top priority. We can have a vibrant city, but only if we correct our current zoning so that developments will maintain the charm and character of our downtown and protect the character and integrity of our neighborhoods. We can increase our affordable housing stock for residents making between $30,000 and $60,000 per year simply by correcting our premiums. And we can maintain and increase our low-income housing if we create a recurring funding stream by lowering the DDA TIF capture. I'm for responsible governance, greater transparency, and broader public participation throughout the entire process on all important pieces of legislation. I will listen to your concerns and be proactive and responsible in how I approach the issues. I will bring an atmosphere of openness, inclusiveness, and responsiveness to Ward 5. My name is David Silkworth, and I'm asking for your vote in the August 8th Democratic primary for the Ward 5 City Council seat. Please visit my website, votedavidsilkworth.org, for more information. Thank you.
Hi there. I'm 5th Ward Ann Arbor City Council member Chip Smith, and I'm a Democrat, and I'm running for re-election in the August 8th Democratic primary. 2 years ago, I ran for council to bring more engaged and forward-thinking leadership to City Hall. I pledged to roll up my sleeves to make government work better for the people of Ann Arbor. The good voters of the 5th Ward sent me to work for them. And that's exactly what I've done. In the last 18 months, I've made considerable progress. I've authored, sponsored, and/or co-sponsored more than 40 adopted resolutions and pieces of legislation. It was an important part of my campaign last time to make progress on environmental, land use, and transportation issues, and I've been able to do that. Now, I know not all of you follow City Council actions super closely, but on my watch, we've been able to strengthen the 1,4-dioxane standard to keep our drinking water safe, adopt a vulnerable road user ordinance to protect cyclists and pedestrians, expand local funding for street, sidewalk, bicycle, and crosswalk improvements. I've also helped pass legislation that pledges Ann Arbor to adhere to the Paris Climate Agreement and to make Ann Arbor a welcoming place for immigrants and refugees. I cite these examples of my record because it's a record that I'm proud of and one that reflects the priorities of 5th Ward voters. Now, I've also been engaged with the public. I'm willing to meet with anybody about the issues facing the city, even if we're not on the same page about an issue. I host monthly coffee hours and try and personally respond to residents' concerns. This may not garner headlines in MLive, but providing information to people so they can solve problems and advocate for positions is a huge part of being an elected official and something that I do well. The bottom line is that I'm running for re-election because though I've been able to move many things forward, there's much left to do. I believe passionately that we need to address affordability here in Ann Arbor and that housing and transportation work together in that equation. We need to improve the provision of basic services so people are getting what they pay for. We need to keep working on building a transportation network that moves cars, bikes, and pedestrians safely. And we need to fund climate mitigation programs to do our part to reduce carbon emissions while also preparing for existing and projected future impacts. Lastly, we need responsible development. And responsible development is development that allows folks to live closer to their jobs, especially lower wage workers. Responsible development is the kind that doesn't depend on single occupant car trips to be successful. It responds to the context of its surroundings. Responsible development means good architecture and unique spaces. We need this kind of development if we're going to address affordability in Ann Arbor. We need it if we're going to reduce our carbon emissions, and we need it if we're serious about housing equity. It's irresponsible to reject all development out of a personal political agenda. We have a responsibility to future generations here that we make sure the city is environmentally, financially, and socially sustainable. I'm Councilmember Chip Smith, and I'd be honored to have your vote in the August 8th Democratic primary.
This concludes the presentation by candidates running for Ann Arbor City Council. This program is available for viewing online. Visit a2gov.org/CTN. Remember to do your part and vote on August 8th.